So in our introductory class, we discussed what emotional intelligence is and why it's so important, because our emotions are really the way through which we process and react with and deal with the world around us, people around us, with ourselves. So emotional intelligence means, are we able to identify and to monitor and to develop and improve our emotions, our emotional disposition, so that we have a much more healthy way to deal with ourselves and the people in the world around us. And we discussed that in Jewish spiritual teachings in the Kabbalah, we talk about 7 general emotional capacities in our soul. And having success and perfecting each one of them allows us to have a very comprehensive, healthy emotional engagement with our lives. So, and I encourage you to watch that class if you haven't watched it yet. So the first one that we're going to be dealing with today is the first emotional capacity, and it's called chesed. Now, chesed is not just the first one, but it's arguably the most important one, because it's the very first point of emotional engagement with ourselves and the world around us. And our emotional engagement says a lot about ourselves, because this is the very first time, the very first place where we are personally involved with how we're dealing with ourselves and the world around us. That's what differentiates emotions from intellect. So intellect can be very abstract, can be very objective. When we're studying and thinking and engaging in intellect, we could be studying and thinking about something that's not relevant to ourselves or that we have no real interest in. Just because there's something in our mind that we know about, that we're about, doesn't necessarily mean that it's personal, that there's something subjective to it, that it's the way that we want to process the world and process our lives. So there could be a big disconnect between our intellect and ourselves. Now, we're not encouraging that disconnect. That's not a healthy thing. Our minds are a very important tool, and they should be, we should be connected with them so they can help regulate and govern and guide our emotions. But that's for another class. Emotions are the first time that it becomes personal. Emotions are subjective. When we use the words emotions, we're right away talking about I. Emotions are a description of me. My intellect is not a description of me, but my emotions are. So how I feel, how I react, how I respond, how I deal with something, those are your emotions. So chesed is the first one, and now the first point of connection to self, the first point of personalizing your life for yourself and for others is obviously very, very crucial and very important. What is chesed? What does chesed mean? Generally, chesed we translate as kindness, as giving, as love, and it is all of those things. But it's as an emotional paradigm, as an emotional capacity within our soul, it's much more than that. It is the essence, it is the tool of what allows us to be loving and kind and giving. What is chesed? Chesed is openness. Open, unrestrained, uninhibited flow of energy, flow of ourselves, letting loose and letting go, putting ourselves out there, making ourselves vulnerable and available, whether to ourselves, whether to another person, or whether to a circumstance in our lives or around us. So the posture of chesed, for example, would not be when I have closed arms, sort of clenched fists and crossed legs, and have all my defenses up about myself. There's an important time to have your defenses about yourself and to be guarded and to be controlled and regulated, but that's not the beginning of our emotional flow in life. The beginning is when everything is loose and open, and I am there to be giving and open and available. Chesed, in a sense, is a kind of transcendence, because it's the point within ourselves where are we able to identify and recognize a person outside of myself, a need outside of myself, a circumstance outside of myself, that it's not all just about me and within me, but rather there is an other. And can I reach out to that other, put my neck out there, and offer myself to the other? Similarly, on a spiritual level, with our relationship with God, that first point of chesed, being able to transcend and give of ourselves, is so important. Now, of course, there's a lot to weigh in that, There's a lot of confidence needed, and a lot of regulation needed, and a lot of control needed, and a lot of concerns that come with that. And those are all true. And those are part of the multidimensional, multifaceted emotional capacity of chesed, which we're going to talk about in this class. But before we even get there, just to acknowledge and to recognize that the first emotional response to anything is, are we available? Are we open and ready to project ourselves and offer ourselves to a situation or to a person? Which is why this can be a very good litmus test of your emotional health. I'll give you an example. Somebody comes to you and says, I need something from you. I need a favor. I need your time. Can I borrow some money? Can I get a gift from you? Can I get your help? What is your response to that person? Now, of course, you're going to weigh up all kinds of decisions and factors. Do I have time? Is now the right time? Am I the right person? Do I have enough to give? Should I be giving you? Are you even deserving of that? Of course, there are many considerations. But as an emotional, healthy person, those should never be your first reactions. Your first instinctual reaction is chesed. And chesed is, yes. Yes, I'm here. Yes, I'm available. Yes, I want to be giving to you. Yes, I want to give of myself to you. I'm open. That is chesed. And that needs to be your first reaction. Think about the next time that somebody asks you for your help, for your time, for your money. What is the first instinctual thought that goes through your mind? And if it's anything else other than the first emotional capacity of our souls, which is, I'm here, I'm available, I'm open, I'm free-flowing, you have a problem. You've skipped to the other stages of your emotional capacities, but you've skipped the first one. And the first one is the bedrock, is the foundation of our emotional attachments and our emotional health. And that is be available and to be giving. So that's chesed. Now, I want to pull up a slide here for you, which will help us understand the multidimensional aspect of chesed. And let's see if I can find it. Hold on a minute. And we're going to find it. Where is it? Here it is. So why can't we pull it up? There we go. 1 second. Okay, try again. There we go. Okay, so here you see chesed as a category over here, which is the first emotional trait that we have. Now, as I mentioned, we have 7 general emotional traits, but within each emotional capacity that we have, the other 7 are included in that. So you have 7 different layers, 7 different expressions, 7 different capacities of chesed over here in front of you. And I'm not going to repeat, but we have the blue and the red and the pink, because the blue is the side of the right, which is more of an open expression. Chesed itself is on the side of the right. It's openness. Red is more restrained. It's the left side of our souls. And then the harmony between them is in pink. One other thing that I want to mention, which I did not mention in the introductory class, is that our emotions are generally divided into 3 categories. And I've put them here on this slide. The first category is the beginning of the emotional experience. Without getting into the great debate or the great exploration of what is an emotion and what is a feeling, and is there something, is in the nerve system, is it physiological? It doesn't matter. The point is, you know your feelings and how you're feeling towards something. Are you feeling more loving and more kind and more open towards something and more connected to something? Or are you feeling a little more harsh, a little more judgmental, a little more regulated, a little more controlled, a little more fearful of something? You know your feelings. So the first category, or you should know your feelings, or we're here to learn about our feelings. So the first category defines the very root, the very foundation of what is the emotional experience within you. Once we've figured out the emotional experience, we move on to the next stage, which is our emotional response. Because the whole point of our emotions is to be able to connect and respond wisely and healthily to a situation or to a person. That's why we have our emotions. So how do we take those feelings and prepare an appropriate response? How we're going to choose to connect and deal with the situation or the person at hand. And the final category is the emotional result. What is the level of effectiveness when we act through and now the deed is being done, the kind of decision that we made? What resulted from that? Was it effective? Was it meaningful? Was it of benefit to the given party? So those are the three general categories within every single emotion. So now today we're going to talk about chesed. And I've said that chesed is a sense of openness and kindness. So what are the 7 capacities within chesed? Starting off on the right side, which is the blue side, which is the giving side, we have chesed of chesed, which I've translated as loving kindness. In other words, you could be in a state of chesed, meaning open and giving and loving, but the question is your love being done lovingly? Is your giving being done kindly? Right? If sometimes you could give something to somebody or even give yourself to somebody, but you're not lovingly there. You're not necessarily present. You're not happy to be there. And so chesed of chesed challenges us to be happy and willing to do what we're doing in the act of giving. If you're giving tzedakah charity, for example, do you give it with a smile? Or do you give it begrudgingly? Right? So are you present? Are you loving in what you're doing? Are you genuine in what you're doing? Okay? I remember I was once at the Bodleian Museum in England, and I was exploring all kinds of ancient Jewish manuscripts. And I went through a long list. I didn't know what I was asking for exactly because it's hard to tell, but I came across a manuscript of a work of the Rambam of Maimonides, which a person had written probably going back to the 14th, 15th century before the printing press. And it's a thick work, and he wrote out the whole book of Maimonides, but at the front page there's an inscription. And the inscription is, "To my dear son, this is in honor of your birthday," or whatever. And I remember being amazed. Not just amazed from somebody who painstakingly probably spent gazillions of hours writing this out, but that he did this as a birthday gift for his child. You know what that means? That it wasn't 2 days before his child's birthday. He just remembers, he goes to Amazon Prime, makes sure the shipment can come quickly, and he orders a gift. But it's that probably from a whole year before, he was preparing for his child's birthday. And he wrote out the whole book for him. So chesed of chesed challenges us to understand or to analyze when we're in a mode of giving, in a mode of being loving, are we doing it lovingly, doing it willingly, doing it with a smile, doing it in a state of presence? That is chesed of chesed. Moving along to gevura of chesed, which I've translated here as controlled kindness. After we've discovered within ourselves this capacity to be open and flowing and giving, now we need to become a little more responsible. We need to have some level of control over here because we need to ask ourselves some important questions. For example, will being kind and giving and loving right now be of benefit to that person or that situation, or will it possibly be harmful? Will it be harmful to me, or will it be harmful to that person? Could it cause injury, right? How could it be harmful to me? Am I being taken advantage of? Do I even have what to give? Or if I give that which I have, I'll have nothing left for myself. Am I the right person? Maybe there's somebody better than me. How could it be harmful to somebody else? Well, what about, is that person deserving or not? If it's a child asking for more candy, so the chesed of chesed says, sure, here it is, open hands. The gevura, the controlled kindness says, hold on a minute, maybe this is not good for you. You've already had some today. We need to hold back. Or maybe you're not the right person. Someone else should be the recipient because it's more suited for them than it is for you. Or are you even ready to receive? Right? In controlled kindness, we're considering ourselves and our abilities, but also we're considering the recipients. Are they able to receive? So maybe we want to be giving something to somebody, and we should be, but not now. Maybe now's the wrong time. Maybe there's another time that's a better time that's of more benefit to them. So gevura of chesed, controlled kindness, has introduced this consideration of making sure that it's the right kind of kindness and not something that could not be of benefit to me or to that person. Next, we move into the blend, the harmony, Sefirat of Chesed, which means compassionate kindness, or Sefirat actually means beautiful, beautiful kindness. What is compassionate and beautiful kindness? It's the blend. Remember, loving kindness has told me to give with an open hand, to give without consideration. Yes, I'm available, whatever it is that you need. Control kindness has said, well, maybe there won't be enough left for me, or maybe you're not so deserving, or maybe it's not the best time. And it's raised all kinds of question marks and put up all kinds of barriers on our chesed flow. Beautiful kindness and compassionate kindness is a blend. And it says, even if that person is not so deserving, or even if it's going to be a strain on me, maybe I can overlook that. For example, maybe I can be forgiving and compassionate. That's the beauty of Sefirat, compassion and forgiveness. Forgiveness is not ignoring that a person is not deserving. It's not ignoring that a person may have been hurtful to me and just wants to give. Compassionate kindness recognizes that the person may not be so deserving, but nonetheless, can I be forgiving and give nonetheless? You know why? Because maybe they truly need it. And whereas controlled kindness told me to step back for a moment because you remember what they did for you, or they're not the deserving person you thought they were, the compassionate kindness says, but nonetheless, I can find it within me to overlook that and to give because they truly need. There's a certain level of beauty. It's not so beautiful when you give because you want to give because they deserve to be given. It's not so beautiful. It is almost could be or should be natural. It's beautiful when you can overlook some of the, in a responsible way, but you can overlook some of the question marks of controlled kindness and still find within yourself to give. And now that we've concluded the emotional experience realm of analyzing the three capacities of loving kindness, controlled kindness, and compassionate kindness, at this point, we should have, if we've done this right, we should have arrived at the most healthy, the most suitable, the most appropriate emotional feeling about a given person or a given situation. And the next step is, well, how are we going to choose our response? How are we going to deal with that? And so we move into the next realm of this emotion of chesed. And we have netzach and hod and yesod. So it starts off on the right side, netzach of chesed, which I've translated here as enduring kindness. Netzach means strength. Netzach means victory. It means triumph. It means ambition. And I think enduring kindness is the right word. It means as follows. Do I have the strength? Do I have the stamina to pull through whatever it is, the emotion that we've agreed upon in the previous stage? Can we actually pull this through? Because there will be all kinds of challenges towards expressing this emotion that we have, whether it's challenges from within or from without. So from within, for example, do I have the confidence? Do I have the confidence to put myself out there? The confidence to be created? The confidence to be vulnerable, right? Can I step out of myself with all of my inner challenges and be able to be giving? What about challenges from without? Well, is that person even reachable? Can I access that person? Or my fears of, will that person be appreciative? What kind of challenges may come up? There's all kinds of ups and downs and different challenges that may come up. So netzach of chesed is the enduring kindness that this decision that we had of our emotional experience, we're going to pull through at all costs. Next, we move into the hod of chesed, which is empathetic kindness. Enduring kindness was really a focus on myself. Do I have the strength and the stamina to pull through? Empathetic kindness now shifts the focus to the other, to the recipient. Empathetic says, what is going on with them? Am I only focused on what I want to be giving and doing and reacting and responding to them? Or am I also focused on them? What are truly their needs? What is their situation? Am I being humble? Am I being sensitive in how I want to be responding and expressing and giving to that person? Am I giving because I want to give? Or am I giving because I want to give you? In other words, Is it selfish? Is it self-centered? Is it self-serving? Or is it for you, which is ultimately the goal of the emotions and the expression of the emotion? So it's getting rid of all kinds of arrogance and making sure that this is empathetic, kind, and humble. Do I see you as an expression of myself? And if I want it for myself, then I'll give it to you. Or do I see you as the other? And therefore, I want to give what's truly of benefit to you and needed by you. That's the empathy. And then we come into the next stage of chesed, which is again the blend of this endurance and stamina and might and confidence of myself, and also the self-effacement of the humility and the empathy to recognize your needs and your situation. And we come into Yesod of Chesed. Yesod of Chesed, I've translated as the bonding kindness. At the end of the day, the goal of an emotion is how we can connect with and bond with the other. It's to bring two people closer. So if you've come up with this plan to give kindness, right? I want to give my wife flowers. I love tulips. She doesn't. She loves roses. So I can go out and buy a huge bouquet of tulips. And I've done something and I've planned for it. And I'm really giving it with a genuine heart. Small problem. She doesn't like tulips. She likes roses. So a greater level of empathy would have recognized that. And then the combination of this blend over here is to ensure that the act of chesed, of giving and of love that I'm doing to the other is actually ensuring, actually causing that the two of us are coming closer together, that I am bonding together with you and I'm creating a space where you can bond together with me. It's supposed to create a kind of intimacy, a really deep connection between us. That's Yesod of Chesed, making sure that whatever it is we're choosing to express and to give and to do, it's a tool that's going to join us together. There's a purpose over here. The point is to strengthen our bond with each other. Is it advancing that bond? Now we've completed the second realm of this emotion. So in the first realm, we've cultivated and nurtured the correct emotional feeling. In the second realm, we've cultivated the correct, appropriate, most suitable emotional response. And now we're concerned about the third realm, which is the emotional result, which is malchut of chesed. I've translated as effective kindness. So you express however it is you decided. You give that thing, you give your time, you're available lovingly, you're reached out to the other, and you're there. Is it effective? Is it doing what it was intended to do? Is it doing what you were planning on achieving? Have you followed through to the result? Has that person received it and received it kindly and received it with benefit? Is that person, have you nurtured that person and that act? And you've been patient and you've waited to see that it actually results in a positive benefit conclusion. Because that is the end game, which was stimulated the very beginning of something which tickled your emotions and something which called for your emotional response was the need, was the other person or the situation. And so you went through this entire process in your chesed capacity to figure out the optimal reaction of openness and kindness. But now we need to know that it's ending up where it's supposed to end up, that it's being of benefit to the other, that they're gaining from it, and it's truly bringing more beauty, a greater contribution, and more kindness into the world, into that person's life, or into the situation that was calling for your attention. If you succeed in all that, you have a perfect chesed. Now, obviously, nobody's looking for a perfect chesed. If you're looking to be perfect, you have to be an angel, not be a human being. You're in the wrong planet. In this planet, we don't look to be perfect. But in this planet, we look to be the best that we can. And that's really important. I want to conclude with a story, just to describe the importance of chesed, the importance of our instinctual response being available, loving, and giving. There was once a very great Rosh Yeshiva, a very great head of a yeshiva, a wise scholar with Talmid Chacham, who had a private audience with the Lubavitcher Rebbe. And they were talking about all kinds of Torah matters and Talmudic matters. It was a very deep and advanced conversation. At one point, somehow it came up that the Rebbe asked this person, I have a question for you. We know that one of the primary organs within a person is the heart, right? The mind, the heart, the brain. Those are our primary organs, right? Vital organs. We can't live without them. Now, we also know that the most prominent side of a person is the right side. Okay, I'm a lefty, so for me, it's on the left side. But for most people who were not created lefties, it's your right side. So very much in Jewish law, we give priority to the right side. We do things with our right hand before our left hand. It's the right before the left always. And there's many, because the right is actually chesed, by the way, right? So you want chesed to dominate over gevura. So the Rebbe asked a simple question. Why did Hashem create the heart, the vital organ, in the left side of the body? If it's so important and the right side of the body is more prominent, he should have put the heart on the right side of the body. Simple question. Sounds like a funny question, but why did God do it that way? And that person was caught off guard and he said, I actually have no idea. I don't know. So the Rebbe said, I'll tell you why. The whole point of the heart is to be emotionally available to another person, to be there for another, to give to another, to enrich someone else's life. And so when you walk up to another and you give them an embrace, that's when you're in the most healthy place, an emotional place. That's what you're here for, to be of benefit to another. Well, when you give another person an embrace, your heart, which is on your left side, but it's on their right side. For the recipient, your heart is on their right side, which gives it prominence and which explains the value of the heart. The value of the heart is to be kind and giving and loving to yourself also, by the way, but also equally important to another person. So that is, very briefly, a way that we can work on our chesed capacity, all the different layers within chesed, challenge ourselves, ask ourselves the important questions to make sure that we're getting it right. Thank you for joining us. Our next class will be analyzing gevura, the discipline, the strength, which is the second emotional trait. God bless you and good luck.